Where a communication is, as it were, merely offensive, grossly offensive, etc., then principles of free speech and free expression require there to be a high threshold and dictate that a prosecution is unlikely to be in the public interest in many of those cases.
The jam, eating rifles, very apt at the moment in Britain. Let's not get political. Lovely day, wasn't it? Let's get, you know, can't help it, can you? Everyone's political at the moment with, well, it's not even politics, is it? It's about hypocrisy. It's about why should we do what we're told if they're not. It's simple as that. You've got to lead by example. Everyone agrees. Everyone agrees.
Where a communication is, as it were, merely offensive, grossly offensive, etc., then principles of free speech and free expression require there to be a high threshold and dictate that a prosecution is unlikely to be in the public interest in many of those cases.
And the factors which will suggest people might not be prosecuted include things like deleting it quickly if you've sobered up in the morning. Can you explain about that?
One thing that's very important in this area is that where free speech protects the subject matter, a prosecution must be proportionate. And when considering whether a prosecution is proportionate, the question of whether a communication is removed quickly, whether the individual expresses remorse, whether access to the communication is blocked, these are obviously relevant to any assessment of proportionality.
And will it be more or less likely for individuals to be prosecuted criminally now when they're using Twitter or Facebook, do you think?
It's not possible to say whether it's more or less likely. There simply haven't been enough cases. But this is clearly signalling that in those cases that are protected by freedom of expression, then there's a double safeguard, a high threshold, and consideration of the public interest before a prosecution will be brought.
This is my first reaction. I want to smash everything up in the house. I want to phone someone and say, whose fault is this? Right? You know when you get someone and it's like a tent or something, and there's one peg missing, and you think, oh, okay, I want to find the person who was talking when they put that tent together, and then someone, yeah, that's fine, sent it out. Oh, when things don't work, I want to call it. I heard this thing once. I don't know if it's true. That years ago. Marks and Spencer's, when they sort of ordered like 10,000 shirts, 10,000 jackets, 10,000 trousers, they'd open it, and if they found one that was dodgy, they'd send it all back. So those people send it out to it was their job to make sure that it was right. I agree. Why is it our job to make sure something's all right? Why isn't it checked? And same as that sign when you walk past like scaffolding, and there's like, there's a sign that says, "Beware, workmen overhead," and a little picture of a falling hammer. What? So it's my problem to look out for. Don't drop the hammers. Don't put a sign up. And who's up there juggling hammers anyway? Don't drop your hammer, and don't put it on me. If you might walk in there, you might. Don't drop a hammer, right? That's... Oh. Yeah, okay, there you go. And it's so annoying, isn't it? When something doesn't work, and it just should. It just should. Oh. I had a theory that some people make things not to work forever, so you have to buy another one. I think it's a conspiracy theory in some instances, like light bulbs, because they can make ones that last for a long time. Maybe it's not. Do you think that's true? Do you think manufacturers make things to last a year and then break, so you have to buy another one? It's a good question, isn't it? It's a good question. It's not a good question. Okay, listen. I'm going to try and bring the tone up today. It's shocking. So I'm going to get a little bit highbrow today. I'm going to get political, right? Satirical, like Radio 4 or something like the MASH report or something. Something smart. So some political stuff. Okay, ready? And sort of maybe impressions, sort of political, like Rory Bremen or something. Smart, just smart shit, right? Okay. This is Angela Merkel walking past like a big sticking out of a drain, right? Political, right? Okay. Angela Merkel. Jeremy Corbyn walking past they're all sort of meeting somewhere, and he walks past and he sees this same sticking out of a drain, right? And Jeremy Corbyn's like this. One more sort of political, satirical impression. This wouldn't work on Radio 4 because it's more visual, but definitely, I think they definitely sort of have me, or I got news for you or something. Okay, last one. Kim Jong-un, right, walking past, right. He's all sort of hyper because he's going to test a rocket later. So he's all there with his sort of posse, and they're having a right laugh. He's having a right laugh, right? And then he. So that's my attempt at more political, sort of, international politics, the big sort of questions, but slamming politicians. Any questions? No. Oh.
How can you arrest him for saying he likes bacon?
Have a look at what you can get arrested for chanting in Britain.
Fucking bullshit, like, just because you said you like bacon.
I like bacon, mate.
It's all on camera. What's the offence? What's the offence?
And what's that?
Public order.
And what's that?
You're not allowed to say you like bacon butties around here, lad.
Could you explain that to me, please?
Yeah, so it's anything that might be perceived to be racially abusive.
Mate, listen, a full English breakfast, what does that consist of?
Well, I'm not just.
So what, hey?
Discussing the offence. About the wanker sign you did. You're in the corner. So, all right, let's move on then.
Aye, scum. Ben, take it easy.
Can't put me here. You have to hold him here until.
He'll be out in no time.
Just wait here. Just wait him here. Just stop there. Stop. Yeah.
Are you with the other cereal? Sorry.
No, I'm just with you.
So apparently, you can't say,
I love bacon.
I love bacon. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but I'm going to go out on a limb here, and at the risk of getting denied entry the next time I try and land at Heathrow, I love bacon too.
What absurdity to have the police force have those discussions with their citizens.
It's terrifying, but it is all political. It's Orwellian. It's like we were saying at the beginning of the show with Lucy Connolly. Britain has turned into this weird kind of Orwellian dystopian state where they will arrest you for the most ridiculous things.
Well, I think your question is to do with the cancel culture. Could it be, would people allow it to do that? I think so, probably, with a bit of negotiation. Because even then, I'd sometimes have to talk people down. I go, this is fine. This is irony. Or no, this is okay. No, that's the point of that language. That's the, no, it's not racist. He's a racist. So I still had explaining to do, in the year 2000. Also, cancel culture is sort of, don't worry about it now, it's done. They tried. But you wouldn't want it to be the same, because The Office, I think, was good because it was a keen observation about the etiquette of the time and what it was like to be in office in 2000. So it couldn't be the same because things are different now. Could the equivalent be done? I think so. I don't know. I don't know what it'd be like now trying to get all those things passed through, but it couldn't be the same anyway, and you wouldn't want it to be the same because you sort of want to reflect the world, really, and the world's changed a bit. Yeah, I'd still give it a go. I'd try my hardest.
We are freedom of speech. We've got freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. To the police. Freedom of speech. To the police. To the police. You don't even know what fascist is, man.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
My name's Frank McGuinness. I come from Britain's oldest colony. I was born in Dublin and grew up in the occupied north of Ireland. I'm here to suggest three things. The first is that the British Empire, or the so-called United Kingdom, is in a crisis. The crisis of Zionism is a crisis of this state, because this state is backing the genocide. The Brits are at it again. They are once more enacting a genocide. The second thing I am here to suggest is that the Palestinian people have a right to use armed force to resist the apartheid state. We must all loudly proclaim our support for the Palestinian right to use armed force in self-defense against the genocidal fascist regime. And the third thing I'm here to suggest is that we are all anti-Zionists now. There is no space for anyone to continue identifying with that fascist ideology. We must say it loud and clear. Zionism is fascism. We are all anti-fascist. We are all anti-Zionist. The violent enforcement arm of the state that you see surrounding you today, the Metropolitan Police are of course complicit in this crisis. Yes. They've hyper-scrutinised our speech, they've hyper-scrutinised our placards, they've hyper-scrutinised our social media to try and find some foot that we may have put wrong, to try and test whether we've contravened the ridiculous terms of the Terrorism Act 2000, to try and insinuate that we are terrorists and anti-Semites for opposing their little loyal Jewish Ulster, as the apartheid state of Israel is once called. The British state is up to its neck in Palestinian blood. Yes. The blood will never wash off. Keir Starmer will forever be remembered as the war criminal at the top of the British Empire that presided over this genocide. Liam should not be on the inside of a dock. Keir Starmer will hopefully one day see the inside of a dock of a war crimes tribunal. So will his colleagues in the British Empire who did this to Palestinians. The Terrorism Act 2000 is in a complete legitimacy crisis, not just because of its use to try and attack the comrades in kneecap. They're using it to try and attack everyone. They've made an astonishing mistake in trying to ban my friends in Palestine Action. That group should never have been attacked in the way that it was. Those laws should never have been passed. The British state has no business lecturing anyone about violence. They have no business lecturing anyone about racism. They have no business lecturing anyone on how to resist colonialism. They are one of the most violently racist colonial empires in human history. They should sit down and shut up. The British state have a right to armed resistance against this fascist empire as it attempts to enact a genocide against them. Yes. You think about the good people in the Front Libération Nationale, the FLN, that liberated Algeria from the French colonizers, good friends of the British Empire. The people of Algeria fought with guns and with bombs against the people colonizing them at staggering cost to themselves. Let me remind you, it took 1 million Algerians 1 million Algerian lives to drive those French colonizers out of Algeria. But they did it. It is one of the most successful instances of anti-colonial resistance in human history. No pact Iran! We are all anti-fascist! We are all anti-Zionist now! Do not be complacent. Your government, our so-called government, the British Empire, that colonised my homeland and that colonised Palestine, is at it again. They're engaged in a mass murder of Palestinians because they're viewed as a racial threat to the demographic purity of their little loyal Jewish Ulster. We must not be complacent. Coming to this rally is not enough. We must escalate our opposition to their genocide until it is definitively defeated, until a ceasefire is called, and from there we must dismantle the apartheid state of Israel and consign it to the dustbin of history. Glory to the resistance and its martyrs. Shaki Allah!
Tweet about me getting votes from non-actors. There are some. Alright. Fleetwood Mac. Rhiannon. Friday. That picture looks a bit milky. Is it bad connection? Have I smeared my camera on my phone, or am I actually blurred in real life? I don't know. Shall I breathe on the lens? That I can't tell anymore. Doesn't matter, does it? I should wipe it with my wig. Hold on. Is that better? How are you? What was the setup to the works with a turtle joke that Brent got laughs for in the office? There wasn't one. What I had to do in the scene, I wanted to come into the scene and cut it to like a laugh that you'd missed. And so I just did a fake punchline every take, and that was the one that we used. Okay, so someone says, okay, and action. It also works with a turtle, and they laugh. So the joke was that it wasn't really a joke. There is no joke. You could write one, but there isn't one. I can't remember the other one. I just said something different every time, just so it got more ridiculous, so they laugh. I could have just said laugh, but that'd be too easy, wouldn't it? Andy E. FC says, what do you think of to make you cry in Afterlife? Stroke Derek. I don't think of anything other than I imagine that scene was real. I imagine this is really happening. What would I do? And if it's good enough, if the script is good enough, and the people, it's a good environment, and the crew are quiet, and you get lost in the scene, and the other actors are doing their bit, it's okay. I can do it once. Because once you've cried, you really get it out of your system, and it's harder to do it again. It's like I'm really crying the first time, and then I'm faking it on the second take if I had to do one. And I think pretty much everything I've ever done, I've used the first take of the crying. So it looks real. It sort of is real, isn't it? When you're laughing in a scene, you're really laughing. It's just that you have to imagine what it was like if someone said something funny. Sometimes I laugh, and I'm not meant to. That's the one thing. They can't stop you laughing, can they? They can tell you what you should and shouldn't laugh at, and what's right, and what offends them, but they can't stop you laughing. You can't, and you should never be ashamed of finding something funny. It's not your fault what you find funny. That's something you can't help. No one goes around pretending to laugh. Well, they're fucking idiots. If someone finds something funny, it's because it caught them. This new rule of what you can and can't laugh at. I'll tell you what you can laugh at. Anything. Clark, Daniel Clark says, if you had to appear in a movie franchise, which one would you do? I have appeared in one, I guess. Night in the Museum. I didn't know it was going to be a franchise when I said yes to the first one. I was returning a favour to Ben Stiller for being in extras. And then I was busy with the second one. I think I was doing a special, and I tried to get. I thought, could they write me out? And they wrote me down, so I had to do a weekend. So that, you know, it's not my thing really, popping up in other movies. I was offered the Star Trek movie, Scotty and Star Trek, when JJ took over, and it's not my thing. I love JJ. I think he's great. I've worked with him before. I'd love to work with him again. But I was never really a fan of Star Trek. So, you know, someone else could do it better. And then he offered me the part in Mission Impossible as well. And I said, I can't. And I generally was busy. I'd love to, you know. I just didn't fancy. There's nothing wrong with the film. As I say, I love JJ. I just didn't want to spend 3 months in a Winnebago going on doing an action film, doing it from one direction, playing second fiddle to Tom Cruise. It's not exciting for me just being in a film. I like the creative process. But if I had to, what would I do? Is The Godfather, does that count as a movie franchise? Well, yeah, Godfather. And 3 is not as terrible as people make out. It's just that 1 and 2 are the best films in the world ever. And so, if you've never seen 1 and 2 and you watched Godfather 3, you think, yeah, it's alright, that, pretty good. But, yeah, here we go, Rupert, fucking idiot. Where the dog. Right, here we go. What a stupid question. Right, the year is 2040. They have developed a drug to reverse the aging. Would you take it, and what age would you reverse back to? I love the fact that this drug, you tell the drug what age you want to go to. So hold on, so I'm 80. It's coming up from. I'm going to be 80. I'm 79. I take a drug. I tell the drug what age I want to be. Right. I'm assuming that this is sort of infused with all the things you know that you can't. I can't just say 18 and still have everything. Can I? What? I mean, I suppose you choose your healthiest, I guess. But I don't know. I don't think 18 is as good as 40 or 50. I don't know, looking back, it'd be weird, wouldn't it? I'd have all the sort of values of a 79-year-old. I don't know. Would I have hair again? Would I just be 18, right, and still look 79? What does that mean? Or do you mean I'd be fitter and upright with the hair again? 50, I'd be 50. Stupid question, Rupert. You're a fucking dog. Why am I even answering questions by fucking Jack Russell's? Cam Conway says, with absolutely no credits, I think it means him, with absolutely no credits, is it best to seek out a production company or a literary agent to take a look at my comedy script? Well, I don't think you mean literary agent. I think literary agents are more for novelists. I think you mean writing agent. There are often normal agents who represent writers or actors, or so is it best to seek a production company or an agent? Well, it depends. It's sort of the chicken and the egg, because if you've got a production company interested and you made your thing, you could have the pick of every agent in the world. But if you had an agent, they might be able to get you to a production company where you might not be able to get yourself. I don't know, you can do a lot by yourself. You know, they've got contacts. But I don't know that it's any easier for an agent to look at a script and decide to take you on than it would be a production company. In fact, I'd say that probably production companies are a bit hungrier. But they might not take unsolicited scripts without an agent. It really is tough. I don't think there's anything wrong with sending it to both, really, and see who bites. Why not? It's the cost of, 30 pages of paper, isn't it? So, and I don't just think send it out to 30 people and wait for 30 people to say thanks, because that'll probably happen. you probably will get a letter because they're busy. You've got to follow it up without annoying people. Don't get into parties and give it to people. That is not the way to do it. Don't do that. Don't annoy people. You know, having said that, you know, take every little step you can. If you know someone who knows an agent, that's fine. I think do it sensibly and with honour, and don't give up. Why did you choose a topic for Afterlife, the loss of a life partner? Well, because the initial idea was, imagine if you lost everything and you nearly killed yourself, but you didn't, and life was a bonus and you'd always have death to fall back upon. You could do what you wanted. It's like a superpower. And then, and I like that idea, I thought, that's good, that's great. And then I think, well, what's losing everything? I don't think it is your job or your house or your, you know, I think for me it was your life partner. To the extent that you'd feel your life is over, where the title came from. So it just, for me, it just had to be the worst thing possible. And that's different for everyone. I'm sure that's different for everyone. But that's why I chose it. And you could really feel, you'd feel cheated and alienated, angry. And I had to have something that would put him into, you know, a deep depression that he couldn't get out of. If you lose your job, you can sort of go, right, I'm going to get another job. You can't go, right, I'm going to get her back. You can't do that. So it was final. It was final and impossible task. The one thing he wanted, he couldn't have. So that's why. Does that answer your question? Well, sort of a workshop, hasn't it? We've talked about comedy and writing and ambition and never giving up and being creative. Been quite a blast, I think. Afterlife is brilliant. Thank you. The Postman is the best thing in season 2. I love The Postman as well. Joe's amazing, isn't he? Have you seen Sarah Cooper doing the bits on Trump? Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? You can just actually just say the words, mime the words that someone actually said, and it's funny. There's a guy that does the same with Brent, who's amazing. Cole, I retweet them, and it's quite a skill, because it's not like miming along to a song where you've got the rhythm. It's great. I started voting for the Emmys yesterday. I've got no chance. Not after I called them all and drug addicts. It's not the best way for your peers to vote for you, is it? And not all of them. The ones that vote for me, they're all right. If you vote for me, you're not a nonce. You're not a nonce or or a deviant. Listen, if you're an actor and you're an Emmy voter and you're not a sex offender or pill popping deviant scum, then please vote for me. Best performance in the comedy. I can't be fairer than that, can I? Is that it? I love that coming up that someone's going, what? If I'm not a nonce? Oh, sorry Rick, I am a nonce. I can't vote for you. I might not win, but I haven't got any votes. Sometimes I think I don't take this seriously enough, but luckily other people do, and that's what's funny. I remember the first couple of times I've won awards, it was a joke. I thought that's not why I did it, you know. I'd already been paid. It was always the best job in the world. I was absolutely loving it. And then I was on an awards home and I looked over, I'm not going to say who it was, but I looked over and they were fucking desperate to win, right? And then, because they're so desperate and needy, that's when I wanted to win. And I did. And from then on, I loved winning because I knew some people were hating it. Some people hated me winning. Is that a healthy attitude? Is that a healthy attitude? Oh dear. Tweet about me getting votes from non actors. There are some. Alright. Tatty bye everyone. Tatty bye.
If you saw the movie, the latest Top Gun movie, eerily enough, this is that plot kind of coming to fruition in real life.
The U.S. attack on 3 Iranian nuclear sites. This morning we're getting a look at some of the damage done over the weekend. Aerial images you see there showing impact on the surface. U.S. forces around the region and authorities at home are on alert for potential retaliation from Iran, warning its military will decide the timing, nature, and scale of its response.
I like dealing with taboo subjects, you know that, because I think the audience is already tense, and I like going there. I like talking about things that some people are worried about or whatever. And I don't think they feel alienated because I'm often on their side. I'm often creating an outside enemy to them as well, you know, like oppression or cancel culture or you know, bosses, the filthy rich. So it's like us against them, I suppose, and I try and be one of them.
This is a plan that took months and weeks of positioning and preparation so that we could be ready when the President of the United States called.
The Speaker of the House, who is from your own party, has really rejected this. He says the Article 1 power of Congress really allows for the President to do this. It was a limited, necessary, targeted strike, he says.
Well, he's probably referring to the War Powers Act of 1973, but that's been misinterpreted. There was no imminent threat to the United States, which was what would authorize that. And I think that's peculiar to hear that from the Speaker of the House. Look, Congress was on vacation last week when all this was happening.
You haven't been briefed on any of
We
these details.
haven't been briefed. They should have called us all back. And frankly, we should have debated this War Powers resolution that Ro Khanna and I offered instead of staying on vacation and doing fundraisers and saying, oh, well, the president's got this under control. We're going to cede our constitutional authority.
What has all this been about if it does not destroy the nuclear material? Of course, what is really Channel 13 means is that the only way that you can destroy Iran's nuclear industry is by person, boots on the ground. And that is only possible if you have regime change. They've even appointed the new head of state, that fella in Los Angeles, who's never been in Iran since he was a child. He's the new head of state. And just to throw some sand in the face, there's going to be a Sunni Muslim prime minister. They've got the terrorist group, MK. They've got the Renta mob, Kurdish factions, ready to march on Tehran, but they cannot muster the 1 million strong army that they would require.
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is we're being told this is, I think, anywhere from just shy of 200 to 300 feet in depth. There are all kind of reports out there of 1,000 foot, but I think that's more propaganda. So what you end up doing is if you saw the movie, the latest Top Gun movie, eerily enough, this is that plot kind of coming to fruition in real life. It's not just one bomb, it'll be a bomb after a bomb to get through that penetration.
And just lastly, that's what you're talking about. Can penetrate up to 200 feet below the surface. And then, of course, we'll see it try and put the second one in there and go down in there. Yep. Let's bring in David Burke, our Top Gun and former Top Gun instructor, retired U.S. Marine Corps officer. Now, David, I don't know how well we did that, but you know this better than anybody. Talk to us about, questions over whether or not this can successfully be done.
He said a lot of shit I don't understand. And if I don't understand it, you don't understand it.
I've got a queue of names I can give you. 80 countries long. 80 countries long that the United States has invaded since the end of World War II. Invaded or subverted by way of proxy armies, or assisted in the terrorist overthrow, mass murder, assassination, and other means to alter the course of the trajectory of those countries struggling to be free. So Israel can't be blamed for those, you see. It's not Israel that overthrew President Salvador Allende in Chile in 1973. It's not Israel that murdered millions of people in Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos in the 1960s and 70s. It wasn't Israel that launched the Korean War. The United States has been a malignant empire since the end of the Second World War. And I could go back. There are only actually 6 years, in the hundreds of years since the American Declaration of Independence in 1776, that America has not been involved in a foreign war.
Just sort of be honest, really. So I think some people are worried about being too sincere in case they're criticised. They don't want someone to go, oh, God, oh, God, how soppy.
Because the goal is not to completely subjugate Afghanistan. The goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal, i.e. the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
No, it's not Israel that's controlling it. It's the people who support Israel that are controlling it. And the people who support Israel are both of the sides of the Uni Party. It's in the American empire's interest to support Israel. And they ruthlessly enforce it in the ways that you've just been talking. Iran committed 2 great sins, and none of them have anything to do with nuclear. After all, when the Shah wanted to go nuclear, the American company Westinghouse successfully bid for the project to build the nuclear plants in Iran. The 2 big sins of Iran are, first of all, they are the only state, Yemen being a partial state, and others being liberation movements, resistance movements. Iran is the only state that took action to defend the Palestinian people in Gaza and to contest the absolute domination of Israel in the region. That's its number 1 sin. Its number 2 sin is that it is an indispensable linchpin in the new world that is being born. Russia, China, Iran, the Belt and Road Initiative, the North-South Corridor, the means of breaking free from hundreds of years of Western hegemony, require as a hinge a free, sovereign and independent Iran.
You don't need a formal conspiracy when interests converge. These people went to the same universities and fraternities. They're on the same boards of directors. They're in the same country clubs. They have like interests. They don't need to call a meeting. They know what's good for them, and they're getting it.
If you don't like that, if you don't like the changes that we've made, I say the door is open and you can leave.
Social media sites. There are new powers here to censor your site, states and I know.
To censor my site?
To censor your site.
You mean Truth?
Truth
Social?
I mean Truth. Is that okay?
Well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I say only good things. Will you please uncensor my site?
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone.
Some things I'm more mellow about and some things I'm more angry about. Like, I never really cared about politics. I went through the phase at sort of, 15, 16, thinking I was Che Guevara. But then you think, there's no point. But I realise the thing that makes my blood boil is obviously animal cruelty and all injustice, all those things, those documentaries I've watched where people have gone to jail, for 30 years just because the prosecutor wanted to get a quick. I just think, well, what can we? They can't give them that time. So things like that, I'm more angry about than I ever was. Like wasted time. When you take away someone's time. Then other things that I was probably, I don't know. I don't think I have mellowed. Because I was only ever verbally brave. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I used to go out and steal cars and get into fights. It's not like I ran a gang. I was cheeky at school, then I was cheeky at work. Now being cheeky is my job. So I haven't had to downgrade my outrageous behaviour and bravery because it was only ever verbal. So I don't think I have mellowed, no. And in many ways I've gone the opposite way. But I think freedom of speech is a fundamental human right that all others come from. So if anything, I've got slightly more militant on the people's right to freedom of speech, which is sort of part of my job, I think. Freedom of speech. So I selfishly want that, but it happens to be the best thing for everyone.
We've got to fix that problem. We can't simply live with that problem, so it's a very different situation.
Well, we ended the estate tax. There is no estate tax on farmers. So when a parent leaves their farm, because again, a lot of these farms, they don't make a lot of money, but it's a way of life, and they love their way of life, and they love that dirt. That dirt is the most beautiful thing they've ever seen. They love it. I mean, they're farmers. They love doing it. They don't know how to do anything else, but they don't want to do anything else. I speak to farmers. I say, would you like to live in my penthouse in Manhattan? It's the most beautiful. No, sir, I want this farm. And what happens is, we were losing a lot of people to suicide. They'd borrow money to pay the estate tax, and they were not able to pay it. And some banks are ruthless; they wouldn't do anything, and they would end up committing suicide. We have totally ended the estate tax in those situations. So there's no estate tax. So when a parent leaves the farm to the kids, they don't have to worry about their local, possibly unfriendly banker coming in and stealing their farm.
I've said to you before that a hallmark of Mussolini was that he went around the world threatening people with Germany's army. That's exactly what John Healey is doing today. Because Britain, a country that is virtually bankrupt, in fact, going bankrupt fast as we speak, literally bankrupt, unable to meet the interest payment on its colossal debt, with the IMF waiting in the wings to knock on an open door, I'm pretty sure, of yet another British Labour government. Britain is a bankrupt country, with no steel industry, with no coal industry, with no shipbuilding industry, with a minuscule military-industrial complex, and an even more minuscule armed forces, army, navy, and air force, all comfortably fitting in the stadium of Aston Villa, a mid-table, mid-size football stadium in the English Premiership. So John Healey can't really mean that he's going to fight China. Even adding Australia to the mix, I'm not sure the Australian people were consulted before this announcement, but Healey said that Australia and Britain will fight China in the event of war erupting over Taiwan. Now, you, at a push, could persuade me that the side of a line Kupiansk lies on in Ukraine was my business. You could, at a push, even though it's been in 4 different countries in 100 years, you could at least persuade me to listen to the argument that after Kupiansk, other parts of Europe will be imperiled. But what the actual F have we got to do with Taiwan? Taiwan, Taipei, where is it? What is it? Do you eat it? Do you lick it? Do you drive it? Taipei, your son may die in defense of Taipei. What madness is this? A Labour government, a British government that is about to abolish the old age pension as it has been known for a century because we can't afford to pay it. You're going to get a quarter of it when you're 67, and you're going to get the balance when you're 72 because we can't afford to pay it. We couldn't afford the cold weather payments for our old age pensioners during last year's bitter winter. We don't have the money. What madness is this? A country that is on its knees whilst handing over billions of pounds to the thief of Kiev, spending millions of pounds, flying reconnaissance missions for a genocide in Gaza, is going to go to war with China, the People's Liberation Army, the most gigantic army the world has ever known, the People's Liberation Navy, the biggest navy the world has ever known. 1.5 billion Chinese. Where do you think you are? Up the Yangtze? Do you know what happened? Healy, the last time Britain sailed a warship up the Yangtze, the Chinese sunk it in 1949. And China is, by a scale unfathomable, more powerful, more wealthy, more numerous in 2025. And you little runt, are using our country's name to threaten China with war. What kind of madness is this? Who was consulted on this? Did Parliament agree to this? I know that they would. But the contempt shown for British democracy is such that even a rubber stamp Parliament is not asked to endorse this kind of madness. This little runt who's never heard a shot fired in anger in his miserable puff is threatening war with China on your behalf, at your expense, and with the blood of your sons and your daughters. I'm beside myself with rage at this lunatic government that we have got. The most unpopular government there has ever been in British history. They're up to their necks in the genocide in Gaza. They're up to their necks in the bloodshed in Ukraine, and now we're setting sail for yet another war. Well, up with it I will not put, as I said. I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to put up with it. So let me tell you, John, it will be over my dead body that Britain will go to war with China. Let me tell you, John, if it's your plan, as it must be, to conscript Britain's young people to fight these ever-growing wars that you continue to threaten people with, then we will do everything. We will throw everything, including our bodies, including our lives, to stop you from doing it.
You discussed the importance of free speech today.
Well, free speech is very important. I don't know if you're referring to any place in particular. Perhaps they are, but
we've had free speech for a very, 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 very long time here, so we're very proud about that. We protect it.
What's your advice on the small boats crisis in this country? How would you deal with it? What's your advice on dealing with the small boats crisis in this country?
It's about the boats coming over the channel, so we're taking a lot of action to stop people coming over the channel who shouldn't be here, stopping them coming in the first place.
Well, look, immigration is a big factor.
Probably not public information yet, but who's the person that's number one on that invitation list?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
And I can get on that list,
yes,
right?
Without a doubt, you are invited.
That is so generous of you. Cheers to that.
See you at the White.
It wasn't the only epic movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, nearly 3 hours long. Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him. So...
Sean Diddy Combs was stoic as the judge handed down his 50-month sentence. That's more than 4 years. Now, Sean Combs, from my observation sitting inside that courtroom, did not have much of a reaction as his fate was handed down to him. It was actually moments before that he got emotional, crying when he spoke to the judge, which was the first time that he had addressed the court at length throughout his entire 2-month trial. Now, he faced his children and he said, "I am sorry, I have failed you as a father." He then looked at his mother sitting in the gallery of the courtroom and said, "You raised me better than this." And that is when his voice was cracking and when he began to cry. But here's what the judge said when he scolded Combs. He said, quote, "History of good work cannot wash away this case." He said that he used his abuse to get your way. He asked Combs, why did the abuse continue for so long, that being the abuse against Cassie and Jane? And he said, quote, "Because you had the power and resources to keep it going and you didn't get caught."
Talking of all you, it was a big year. It was a big year for movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, Two Popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care.
We're hearing from our affiliates who were inside that courtroom that Sean Diddy Combs put his hands together in a prayer motion, looked at the jury and said, thank you, before falling to his knees. His family were in the courtroom. There was applause, cheering as well as his mother left the court. She blew kisses to supporters that have been waiting outside. Now, as you mentioned, the verdict is in and it is split on that most serious charge, 1 count of racketeering and conspiracy. He was found not guilty. That was the charge that would have carried life in prison. He was found not guilty of sex trafficking and also of those 2 counts, but he was found guilty on those 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Now, those charges do still carry 10 years, a maximum of 10 years behind bars, so he could still be facing up to 20 years in prison. Now, even with that guilty verdict, this is a legal victory for Sean Diddy Combs. He has been acquitted of the most serious charges against him. His defence had argued that, yes, there was domestic violence, yes, there was drug use, alcohol use, but that he should not be judged for his sexual preferences, that it was all consensual. Now, the star witness in this case was Cassie Ventura, his former girlfriend. Her lawyer spoke briefly outside the courtroom.
The reaction is that we're pleased that he's finally been held responsible for 2 federal crimes, something that he's never faced in his life. We're hopeful that ultimately he receives a substantial sentence for what he's done, and we're pleased that Cassie's brought to light everything that has happened in this trial.
So as mentioned, he is still facing up to 20 years in prison. A judge will hand down that sentence. A date has not been set yet. Sean Diddy Combs remains in custody at the moment, but look, he could walk out in a matter of hours. There is a bail hearing set for later today, and we'll bring you those updates when we have them.
I mean, Kevin Hart was fired from the Oscars because of some offensive tweets. Hello? Lucky for me, the Hollywood foreign press can barely speak English, and they've no idea what Twitter is. So I got offered this gig by fax.
Bad boy. Oh, he's bad boy now. Here's your icon alert. It's called He's Bad Boy Now. Bad boy. Bad boy.
50 Cent's highly anticipated documentary about Sean Diddy Combs is officially here. And we hear from 2 jurors from the Diddy trial, some accusers who spoke out for the documentary, and 50 Cent got his hands on some footage that Diddy claims belongs to him.
We have to find somebody that'll work with us, that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business. We're losing.
I reached out to Sean Combs' spokesperson, who tells me that the reason why that personal footage exists is because Sean Combs has been documenting his own life since he was 19 years old. They say that this footage was captured from a personal videographer hired by Sean Combs.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. Because you'll see people saying that. I mean, he may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows the truth.
His lawyers even sent a cease and desist letter to Netflix, which I have obtained. I reached out to Netflix and they referred me to a statement from the documentary's director who says, quote, "It came to us, we obtained the footage legally and have the necessary rights."
Well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off, okay? 3 hours long.
Justin Timberlake, he's been in the news. I did a tweet, I don't know if you know, it sort of went viral and it even made the newspapers, that when he was arrested for drunk driving, I sent him a tweet saying, as a joke, this didn't happen. It happened that I sent him this tweet, but I didn't really send him any Dutch Barn vodka. I just went, did you get that bottle of Dutch Barn vodka I sent you? That's the joke. And it went mad. I did think of a joke. I wouldn't tweet it. It's a bit harsh. I could do this to the Golden Globes. Right, this is it. It's a stupid joke. It's a pun. The joke was, if Justin Timberlake goes to prison, he's going to hear the words sexy back a lot more often. Oh, there you go.
There's a lot of new information. No one had ever really put it together like that before.
For 50 Cent, he says he feels a sense of obligation.
Well, you know, if I didn't say anything, you could assume that all of hip-hop culture is comfortable with his actions.
You're also going to hear from Aubrey O'Day. She was in the girl band Danity Kane as part of making the band. She has an explosive allegation against Combs. And then there's quite a bit that focuses on the murders of Biggie and Tupac, and people from Combs's inner circle raising a lot of questions. People are going to also have a lot to say about that.
You were coming yesterday, you could have seen it.
Oh, really? Is it just this morning?
Well, yesterday, late afternoon.
Can you come and see a picture?
The appalling state of peril of free speech in this country and what British people are being subjected to on a creeping authoritarian basis in terms of obviously the Online Safety Act, which we can talk about, which Reform has committed to repeal because all it's doing, it's making children less safe, and it is having a very chilling effect on political dissent in this country. But it's also, you know, we can talk about the Connolly case. We can talk about, obviously, the case of the Father Ted, the creator Father Ted, that was where 5 armed police were deployed to arrest somebody for tweets. Well, because we have legislation in this country, which means that more people are arrested for speech in the UK than in Russia. And so the fact that that is true should be something of great concern to everyone in the country. Again, regardless of your political leanings, regardless, the ability to speak your mind freely, with some constraints, of course, inciting violence, shouting fire in a theatre, but that's not what we're talking about here. And now you've got senior figures from the police coming out, where the police are saying, well, change the laws then. And I agree with that. I think for too long, you now got the Prime Minister criticising the police, which is, I think, completely unacceptable and ridiculous. When you have left, it is literally the job of politicians, to legislate, to make the laws. And what I've said is that, Reform are committed to not abdicating that responsibility. Reform will absolutely legislate to make this country a serious one again.
I am the broadcaster here. I can say anything. Everyone can join in. No one can get offended, or they can just fuck off. Do you know what I mean? It's brilliant. Keep it free for you. That's what I want to do. Really keep it free for you. So get it sponsored by someone. I don't know how that would work. I'd quite like to do it that old-fashioned way, where I say, hello, welcome to Load of Bollocks, sponsored by Jameson's, smooth Irish whiskey. And I choose things that I actually liked, so I wasn't lying. I'd want to say what I want about them. They pay me if they like. Do you know what I mean? And I couldn't change any of the content. They can't say, oh, you can't talk about this. I go bollocks. I talk about what I want. So you got to be careful what you're sponsored by, so they're not too precious. Like if you get sponsored by the Vatican, you're asking for trouble. They'd call up one day and go, we don't like to talk about the cock in the drain. I go, you changed. So I want to be having a talk about in drains, alien slugs, and all that shit.
And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution.
I mean, luckily, I don't think you can take people to court over jokes. Not in a sensible, civilized society where freedom of speech is a cornerstone. It's getting that way. I think there was some sort of thing trying to be passed in Scotland that you could be done for being grossly offensive in a joke. I didn't look into it, but you can't have that. It's a nonsense.
Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person, but no. This last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones. warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizen suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
Who's to say what? I told you before, if there is a law where you can call the police if someone offends you, I will be on the fucking phone 24/7. I will spend my entire fortune on a bank of 1,000 people on phones just calling the police saying I'm offended. What is it? Fat bloke on a skateboard. Yeah, he's 28. Yeah, he's dressed like a toddler and he's going up and down my street and it's like, I find it grossly offensive. Alright, you see him get fucking taken away. I will complain about anything that annoys me to show what a fucking farce such a law would be, that you can say something that someone finds offensive, that their feelings are more important than your freedom of speech. So no.
Part of what we're going to have to do is to start experimenting with new forms of journalism and how do we use social media in ways that reaffirm facts, separate facts from opinion. We want diversity of opinion. We don't want diversity of facts. That, I think, is one of the big tasks of social media. By the way, it will require some government, I believe, some government regulatory constraints around some of these business models in a way that's consistent with the First Amendment, but that also says, look, there is a difference between these platforms letting all voices be heard versus a business model that elevates the most hateful voices or the most polarizing voices or the most dangerous in the sense of inciting violence voices. And that I think is going to be a big challenge for all of us that we're going to have to undertake.